the first thing that we can do is ask ourselves, how do we treat our good friend? So whenever we have a self-critical thought or a negative thought that you say to yourself, ask yourself, will I say it to my friend? Will I say it to a loved one? If I won't, then I will not say it to myself. Okay? Because we all deserve the same kindness we extend to other people. So if we are not going to be critical towards our friend, why are we doing it to ourselves? Self-care, I think it's one of the biggest things that we can do to protect our mental and physical health.
And if we don't love ourselves more, care more for ourselves, there's a chance that under this kind of tremendous high amount of financial stress and also maybe allocating responsibility on ourselves for what is happening, then it might eventually lead to burnout, especially for those who are also have multiple responsibility in their life. So welcome to the Financial Health Insights. I'm Kevin Neoh, your host and guide on your journey towards better financial health. Having witnessed the burden financial stress can have on people's life, I am committed to helping you achieve financial health, reduce stress, and experience the peace of mind that comes with it, so that you can break free from the grip of financial stress and live a life of greater stability and confidence. All the information shared in the podcast is to serve as information and educational purposes, and you should consider your personal circumstances prior to making any decision. You are also advised to speak with a qualified and licensed financial planner before you implement any advice. So, get ready to take charge of your financial future one episode at a time. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Financial Health Insights. This is a podcast that aims to support you in lowering your money stress so that you can focus on living your best life better. Start from today as well as all the way until your tomorrow. I am Kevin Neoh, Certified Financial Coach, Facilitator for Employee Financial Health Program, a licensed financial planner, and also host of this podcast. Financial stress have been making headlines nowadays, and more news regarding job insecurity have been observed recently as well. So in the previous week episode, I shared about some possible sources where our financial stress may originate from. Knowing where it comes from, I think it's just half the battle. Coping and working on them, it's the other half. So joining me today is Jean Goh, a senior clinical psychologist and also co-founder of We Rather Be. Jean has spent years helping individuals navigate around stress, anxiety, and also life health challenges in life using evidence-based therapy approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, and also mindfulness approaches. I got the chance to attend a session about mental health and burnout, as well as self-care, conducted by Jean during World Mental Health Day last year. I'm grateful that she has agreed to join us today to shed some light on how financial stress impacts our mental wellness, mental well-being, and also more importantly, how we can turn money stress into success. So we will explore why money worries can feel overwhelming and how stress affects our decision making and how to build emotional and financial resilience even in or during difficult times. So let's bring our guest out. Hi, Jean. Welcome to the show.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to join
Sure.
me in this episode and also share your knowledge and expertise with us as well.
I'm excited.
So maybe to kick things started, Jean, is it okay for you to share a bit to help us understand a bit more about you and also what does We Rather Be do?
Okay, so as you mentioned, I'm a clinical psychologist. I do individual therapy. I see clients from different age groups, from different backgrounds, that experience challenges from anxiety to depression to relationship issues to anger to stress. I also give a lot of training and workshops related to mental health. And me and my partners started We Rather Be last year. And we're so happy, that, you've got us on this podcast because, we also have um, a lot of unconventional tools to help spread mental health awareness, like card games. I'm not sure if I've shown you before, but we've got 3 series of card games. The first one is We Rather Be, to spark meaningful connections, to deepen connections and conversations. Number 2 is the CBT Thought Explorer for kids. And the third one is our newest one, the couple series. So if I have time, I will share with you after our podcast. But we are a mental health enterprise. I have 2 other colleagues, 2 other partners, Nicole and Jacqueline. And if you'd like to know more, you can. I think in our next episode, we will be on the podcast as well, right?
Yeah. So I have the card games actually because
Mm.
during the event that I attended, right? So one of the activity that's so memorable and engaging, I think it has to be, other than your sharing, would be the card games that you have all of us played, that it
Yes.
started conversation and also help people to understand a bit more about ourselves also, the automatic negative thoughts part also, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so let's start into this, right? Definitely, I think what you guys are doing also help people to find a little bit of fun into looking into mental health topics as well, and also deepen our understanding towards ourselves. So,
Mm.
one of the things I would like to chat with you or get your opinion is that from a clinical perspective, right? How does uh, financial stress or stress around money impact our mental health and our overall well-being as a person?
So, first of all, the financial stress, right, can significantly affect both mental and physical health. Um, the constant worry about money can lead to um, feelings of anxiety, depression, and feelings of hopelessness. And people under financial strain may experience irritability, lack of motivation, and long-term stress from all these like financial pressures, right, can result in sleep difficulties, difficulty concentrating, and decreased energy levels. Um, and that's the mental health part. On a physical level, stress or chronic stress can increase the risk of conditions like high blood pressure, heart disease, even digestive problems. So overall, financial stress can lower one's quality of life, making it harder to manage day-to-day tasks and maintain relationships.
It sounds like it does not only just affects our up here, it also can spread across different organs of body. So
Yes.
sometimes I do feel like my shoulder is very stiff or, so I think that could be a result of stress also.
Yes, I think because stress can affect our body. That's why when you're stressed, right, like you say, like some muscle aches and like I mentioned, digestive issues, headaches, and all that. So, mental health is definitely linked to physical health.
Mm. Yeah, so it's something that, we need to pay more attention to it in
Mm.
a constructive way, seeing that it can affect so many things about us. But then I'm just also curious, right? Is stress something avoidable or is it necessarily a bad thing?
This is a very good question. So, stress itself is not inherently bad. It is a natural response to demands, natural response to challenges. In fact, stress can be a source of motivation, helping people stay focused or helping people or motivating people to perform well. Yeah. However, stress becomes problematic when it's overwhelming, when it's prolonged. And this type of stress can lead to burnout, can lead to mental health challenges like anxiety and depression. Um, so when stress starts to interfere with daily life, um, with the ability to relax, to think clearly, then it's a sign that you may have crossed the line from being helpful to harmful.
Mm, I see. So I'm also thinking as you were sharing, like you said, like the migraines or digestive issue, right? Those are
Mm,
like how it manifested itself through these symptoms. So is there any possibility that before we experience these pains or symptoms, there's a feedback system within us that actually like signal that, hey, maybe this is an issue that you
mm.
no longer want to avoid it or close your eye or put your head in the sand, something like that?
Yeah, so, there are warning signs, right? Definitely warning signs to watch out for. Like, you're always thinking about money. So persistent worry about money, having some mood swings. Suddenly you can't really think properly anymore. You find it hard to make decisions. You also might have feelings of guilt or shame about spending or even debt. So individuals, some warning signs may also include like sleep difficulties. So trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, or even physically feeling fatigued. Yeah. Um, Other warning signs include, people may start to withdraw or isolate themselves from social activities. They may feel hopeless about the situation or financial future. So if these signs are present, it's important to address them early to prevent, like you mentioned, digestive issues or physical signs.
But sometimes wouldn't people like there are some people that they have a tendency that whenever they spend money, they will feel a lot of feeling of remorse, regret, or a bit guilty. But it's not necessarily means that they are having some financial problems growing also, right?
That's right. That's right. Sometimes I think it's our culture to want to save, right? So
Mm.
some of us may feel guilty about spending too much or spending unnecessarily, or even like buying a cup of coffee from a cafe every day can make us feel a bit guilty. So yeah, I do understand where the sense of guilt comes from.
Sometimes it's our own the expectation we have on ourselves and maybe the
Yes.
pressure we put on ourselves. So yeah, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
having the second glass of coffee. So in a way I feel guilty for, it's a second glass, it's just half of the day. But to a certain point, I think I should have one with me to have a good conversation with you. So I
Yeah,
have my reason. Yeah. So like what you say, stress can motivate us to do something. So I think it's in how we recognize it and whether we acknowledge it or we just uh push it away that it might be harmful for
exactly.
us.
Exactly. I think the most important part is to be aware of the signs. And when you do notice these signs, take action. You recognize them, take action, seek professionals.
Yeah, and I mean the reason we talk about financial stress here is also because I noticed that recently, especially the past couple of months, right? There's
Mm,
a lot of news about, of course, rising cost of living, and there's
mm,
also some other things that expected to go up in prices, maybe second half of the year. And also there are some news about company letting go of their staff or right sizing. So when people are trapped in high financial stress and challenges, right, they could be more concerned, about survival and then thinking about the future. So, but then if we are very concerned about the short term, we might actually make certain decisions that might not be very helpful for our future. So in that sense, is there any way we can support ourselves to shift from surviving focus to maybe also think about better balance between today and tomorrow?
mm. I
Not sure whether
think
it makes sense or not to ask
yes,
me.
yes, it makes a lot of sense. I think if you want to shift from survival mode to, let's say, like thriving, right? It requires a shift in mindset and some practical changes. So the first thing that we can do is try to reframe the situation. Um, Rather than thinking of your financial struggles or your financial difficulties as a series of endless challenges or the end of the world, we can see it or reframe it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and of course to adapt. Yeah, this is an example of a resilient person, adaptability. Another thing that you can do is to break down financial goals into small achievable tasks. That can help individuals gain a sense of control. So because when we are going through some financial difficulties or struggles, we might feel like we're not in control of our situation at all. So it's very important to look into what are some of the things that are within our control. Yeah. Another thing is because we're all social creatures, very important to seek support, whether it's talking to a financial advisor or confiding in a trusted friend or a family member. I think that is very, very important. And of course, practicing gratitude. I always, talk about gratitude in my workshops and talks because I think practicing gratitude can really, really help boost our mood, can really help in terms of our mental health. Maybe especially when someone's going through something like a financial struggle, financial difficulty, it can be a bit hard to practice gratitude. But at the end of each day, try to think of one thing that you're grateful for that day or one thing that you're thankful for. You can write it down and then you can end the day in a lighter note.
So it's to reframe the fear or the challenges. I think this is a very helpful advice because obviously when we are too worried about something, right, the danger will look very real. And if we give more concentration or focus towards that thing that we are fearful about, I think it will appear even more powerful over us.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Because a lot of us, right, we overestimate the challenges and we underestimate our ability to cope. And if we keep seeing things as the end of the world, the worst case scenario, then we would tend to believe it and tend to act in a way where it is like the end of the world. But if we see it in a different way, if we change our perspectives, then our actions will follow and will become a lot healthier.
Yeah, as you were explaining, I had this image came through in my mind, just like if I see a dog and I'm very worried the dog is barking at me, if I just continue to look at it and feel afraid, right, I will always be stuck there thinking about when is it going to strike. But at the same time, this fear can also become a pressure for me to look around and identify how can I protect myself. Maybe I can climb up a tree or whatnot. So it's about shifting our attention and focus, maybe towards what are the things that I can do to help me to transition through, right?
Yes. So being proactive and focusing on what we can control.
Yes. Then if let's say my emotion is very high, I might find that it's quite hard for me to have the awareness, to step back and look around my environment or what I can do. So is there any tactics that normal people day to day, right? We can support ourselves, like regain our uh, consciousness, calm in the time that we receive some big major bad news or very fearful time.
So this starts with self-compassion. So self-compassion is being kind and understanding towards ourselves when we go through obstacles, challenges in life, rather than criticizing ourselves, rather than being really harsh on ourselves. Do you realize that when something bad happens, for example, we make a mistake or we go through a challenge, we will say, I should have done this better. Why am I not good enough? But when your friend goes through something similar, you wouldn't say, yeah, you're not good enough. Why do you do that way? You wouldn't say that, right? You're usually kinder to your friend. So why is there a double standard, right? Why are we so kind to other people and so hard on ourselves? So self-compassion is about being kind and understanding towards ourselves, the same way we are kind to our friends. So in self-compassion, right, we recognize that we're human and all of us will face some type of challenges or setbacks. And that's part of life, not a reflection of failure. Yeah. Another thing that we can do is to reflect on past successes, our wins, and that can really help boost self-esteem. setting small achievable goals as well, celebrating progress can build some momentum and reinforce a sense of competence. Also, as I mentioned, reframing the situation, reframing the challenges as learning opportunities.
I mean, one thing I guess many people needs to learn to master or become better at doing is number one, to be grateful, like what you suggested earlier, but not just grateful or about other people in our life, but sometimes also be grateful about what myself has done for myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also practice self-compassion is very true because I suppose most people, no matter how harsh a person can be, when your friend tells you they did something they regret or some mistake, I guess most of us will try our best to comfort our friend that, yeah,
yes.
you wouldn't know that and you have done your best, you did what you felt was right, but we never tell ourselves this kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. How come? Like, why are we always so harsh on ourselves? That's
Yeah.
why it's so
Is there
important
a
to.
theory that explains this, why we always so harsh on ourselves and
I
so
think,
kind to
right?
other people?
Yeah, I think it's our expectations to our high expectations that we set for ourselves, our high standards that we always have to be doing things perfectly or doing things flawlessly. I think society and media have a lot of influence on that. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm also very much learning how to be more compassionate to myself. I also seen a video recently, like, we all are like a rubber band. So stress, optimal stress is good, but if you are under consistently high stress and you never learn to let go or whatnot, eventually the rubber band will snap. And we
Yeah.
don't want this to happen to ourselves. Uh,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And that's why I also really um always push self-care to everyone.
I mean, I think it's an art that many people needs to learn better. I mean, we are not taught about all these things in school.
Yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
sometimes even I think in school setting, we are also more prone to be harder on ourselves because we can compare our result to maybe our
Mm,
class and whatnot, right? So it also kind of like encouraging this kind of competition. It has its
yes.
good and bad, I think. Yeah. So
Mm,
going back to people who are going through difficulty in their job, career,
mm,
right? Sometimes if someone is being let go by their company, they might also have a thought that they are not good enough or they didn't do something right or do something wrong. So I think this is timely that, we talk about self-compassion because people needs to also learn that sometimes it's just a business decision. It has nothing to do with the worker as an individual or as a person,
mm.
right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. A lot of us take things personally, but we have to remind ourselves that um a lot of things are actually not personal, and like you mentioned, it may be because of the organization rather than us being not.
So just now you mentioned that this self-compassion is more like a quality related to a resilience or
Mm.
resilient person. Is there any way that people can support themselves to rebuild their confidence level and also cultivate better resilience, especially when they are struggling or going through a major transition event in their life?
I think the first thing that we can do is ask ourselves, how do we treat our good friend? So whenever we have a self-critical thought or a negative thought, that you say to yourself, ask yourself, will I say it to my friend? Will I say it to a loved one? If I won't, then I will not say it to myself. Okay? Because we all deserve the same kindness we extend to other people. So if we are not going to be critical towards our friend, why are we doing it to ourselves? That's number one. Number two, mindfulness, very important. Um, Staying connected to supportive people, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and of course, going back to self-care. Self-care, I think it's one of the biggest things that we can do to protect our mental and physical health.
And if we don't do this to love ourselves more, to care more for ourselves, there's a chance that under this kind of tremendous high amount of financial stress and also maybe allocating responsibility on ourselves for what is happening, then it might eventually lead to burnout, especially for those who are also have multiple responsibility in their life. So I think that makes sense that, self-care is a very important tool that we really need to learn more about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
So having mentioned multiple responsibility in their life, definitely there's a segment of people, we call that sandwich generation. So
Mm,
the reason it's called sandwich generation is because like I'm the in the between, right? So under me there's a younger people under my care, let's say my
mm,
son, and then above me there's my parents. So I'm squeezed in between, so it looks like a sandwich. So that's why it's called sandwich
mm,
generation. So sandwich generations are typically segments that there are chances for them to be more stretched financially,
mm.
physically, mentally, really emotionally is higher. And so how can they make space for self-care at the same time to minimize any guilt they might have? Because just some context, right? Let's say I spend time with myself. To me, it
Mm.
can be a very good self-care activity. But then it also means that I have to sacrifice time that I could have spent with my son. So it can bring about some guilt in me also. So would you have any suggestion for me to feel better about doing this?
Um, this is a very good question also because people in the sandwich generation, right, often feel torn between caring for their parents and raising their children, right, leaving very little time or energy for themselves. At the same time, they might say, oh, I will feel guilty if I do take time off for myself. And also, I think one thing to remember is self-care is not selfish. Okay, it is necessary. Okay, a lot of my clients also tell me that, oh no, I feel bad to take care of myself because um I'm my clients will say I'm mom and I'll have mom guilt. But I say if you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna be burnt out, and how are you gonna take care of others better, right? So if you take care of yourself first, you'll be able to take care of others better because you can't pour from an empty cup. So self-care is crucial for maintaining physical and emotional energy. Yeah, and necessary for overall well-being. Yeah. So self-care, like setting boundaries, even small ones, can help carve out time for rest and rejuvenation.
Yeah, so I can imagine that, it's like, the airline safety briefing, before you put oxygen mask on, the people who follow you, put it on yourself first because you
Yes.
must be safe enough to continue to take care of them. Uh, so maybe even, as small as just a little bit first step, very little effort, I think is better than not caring for the self and all, right?
Yeah. Even our phones also, we have to charge our phones, right? If not, the battery will die. So especially we're not robots. Even robots break down. So we really need time for ourselves to rest.
Yeah. I charge my phone more than once a day.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, did you know that um employees who take about 5 to 10 minute breaks every 1 or 1.5 hours are actually more productive?
Okay. Yeah, I think because we are fresher once we take some break,
Yes.
but not too much of break.
Yeah, must be balanced.
That will become another stress of catching up with.
That's
Yeah.
right. Must be balanced.
So I think it's what you shared is so practical because number one, if I'm going through a major events or challenges in life, I'll be thinking a lot about the negative stuff, which is I think is a good thing because it helps us to protect ourselves from making things worse. But the point here is don't let the fear overpower us to the point that we cannot take any constructive actions to improve the situation. And that
Mm,
comes with the reframing the fear or the thoughts. Then plus we must acknowledge our own effort and also have show compassion to ourselves, even
mm,
though we have people depending on us. So like I think the quote is so it will stay in my mind for a long time. I'm sure self-care is not selfish.
It's
Yeah.
really not.
So it's okay to show some love and do something that makes us feel better or happy or let it recharge our own battery inside us.
Yes, yes, yes. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. But is there anything or any other advice that you would
Mm.
give to someone who feel like by spending money to take care of their needs or
Mm.
feel better is a act that is selfish or putting their family in a bit more difficult situation later?
Mm. So, okay, as I mentioned earlier, it's caring for yourself is foundational to being able to care for others. So to want your own time or to want money to want resources for yourself, that is not selfish. It's essential, right? Because if you don't prioritize your well-being, you may become so overwhelmed, so exhausted, which makes it harder for you to be there for your family or your loved ones. Everybody has limits, and um, respecting those limits by taking time for self-care or seeking resources for self-care does not diminish your ability to help others. In fact, it enhances your ability to help others. Yeah. So think of it this way. When you take care of yourself, you're able to take care of others.
I came across this very personal experience with my wife. So I
Mm-hmm.
encouraged her to take some time to do things she liked. So eventually she found that she might want to try Pilates. But she said it's expensive. She don't see the actual value in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So how I encourage her is that I said, never mind, I follow you.
That's so sweet.
So it become like, please go because I want to try. Then she would go.
Oh, I
But
see.
I
Wow.
have to go through the 1 hour. Very tiring.
It's actually very difficult.
It's not easy for me because you have to bend, stretch. It's very difficult. So after that first time, I asked her, when do you want to go again? She said, you still want me because you look like it's not fun enough for you. So I said, never mind, I still want to go. So I'm still encouraging her to go
Oh.
because if it's something that she can have more time and at the same time also take care of health also. To me, it's
Mm.
like, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's so nice of you, so thoughtful of you to actually want to accompany her.
Then it's also, it can be seen as a bit manipulating. So because to me, it's like I reframe it to be what she would want to do. Why? So it
Mm.
becomes, I want to go, so please go.
I see. I see. I think that's one way for her to feel less guilty about going.
Yeah, but the actual sustainable one, I think, is she has to accept that this is something she really want to do, and that it's
Mm.
okay for her to just go and do it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
without any external influence. I think that would be more important.
Mm. Mm. That's right.
Yeah. Is there any uh, strategy or method, right, that we can cultivate uh, more self-care, help ourselves to be more emotionally calmer, that does not have to
Mm.
spend a lot of money. What?
Mm. Actually, right, we always think that self-care activities are luxurious or expensive, like expensive spas or massage, going on holiday. But self-care does not have to be expensive and it does not have to be luxurious one. It can be just 5 minutes of deep breathing exercise or
Mm,
journaling, writing down your thoughts, writing down your worries, practicing gratitude, right? Spending time in nature, going for a walk, um, at the park, or engaging in some home workouts, yeah, exercising with your partner, family, social connections, spending time with your friends, your family, having a supportive conversation with a trusted loved one can really boost our mental health as well. um Last but not least, like engaging in hobbies, engaging in activities that you find relaxing or pleasurable, like maybe reading a book or watching a funny video on YouTube.
mm. I
These are
just did
all,
that yesterday.
yeah, exactly. So self-care does not have to be expensive.
Yeah, I think it's a social perception that people think to care for myself, I need to spend a lot of money. But obviously, if we are having some financial stress that's so high level,
Mm,
it feels like counterintuitive to go and spend more money to care for ourselves. Maybe that's also
mm.
why people don't pay close attention to self-care. But like you shared just now, there's so many ways we can do this without burning a hole in our wallet at all.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
The walk in the nature is, I think, it's free one, the fresh air, the light, right? There's also many parks around here, I mean, in our country as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What I
Hmm.
like to do is window shopping, just walking around the mall aimlessly, just getting the aircon, and that's very nice for me.
Okay. You don't have trouble with buying something and later realize that, yeah, I don't actually need that.
Sometimes it happens, but I try to um, visualize how I would feel if I actually did buy it. I would feel bad. So I feel like it's not necessary, so I'll stop myself from buying it. But if it's necessary, then, and if it doesn't burn a hole in my wallet, then I might spend a little, maybe on coffee.
Or window shop in places that we may end up buying something that even we don't have a real need, but eventually it might benefit us. Like my personal example, I'm a person who cannot go into bookstore. Right? I will always most likely end up with two books leaving the shop.
Oh, wow, I see. So you
Yeah,
love reading books.
I buy books, but not necessarily I finish all the books.
I
So
see.
that's my weak spot. So if
Mm.
I go there, I might spend, but eventually, it might benefit me if I do read the book. Even 1% of the content makes me 1%.
I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah. What if, right? Some people are under tremendous amount of stress or just money stress or any stress in life, right? It feels so big or overwhelming for them. Then it causes them to have like the avoidance symptoms or they
Mm.
try to avoid dealing or thinking about it.
Mm.
So is there anything that the first step, what is the kind of first step they can do to help themselves to take their head a bit out from the sand?
I think a lot of people, their first response is to avoid because it's something that is so uncomfortable. It's something that is very, overwhelming. So we automatically would avoid. But avoiding financial stress or financial difficulty can lead to procrastination, then can lead to even higher anxiety and a higher sense of hopelessness. So first thing that we can do is to be aware that we are avoiding, okay, and recognize that the situation usually or often worsens over time when we avoid dealing with our finances, leading to even more stress. So it's like a cycle, right? Leading to fewer options. So acknowledging is the first thing, acknowledging that we're avoiding. Okay. The second thing is to break this cycle is to second thing is to break this cycle is to take action. Yeah, even if it's a tiny, tiny action. This might mean opening a bill that you've been avoiding, like a small bill, or setting up a small budget, reaching out to a financial advisor. Taking one small step at a time helps you regain a sense of control, reduces anxiety, and creates momentum to tackle bigger issues. Yeah. So the first thing is to acknowledge that you're avoiding. Second thing is to take um, action, even if it's a tiny.
Would it be helpful if, let's say I'm the person who is trying to avoid my problems, right? Would it be helpful for me to ask myself, what if I do something and then the outcome is very ideal one? How would it change my situation? Would that become a good way to self motivate or to push myself to go and do the things?
So let's say if the result is ideal, is it?
Yeah.
So okay, so when we take action and if the results are good and positive, then of course it will create that momentum to make us do even more, to tackle even more
Yes.
challenges, to tackle bigger problems. I think taking small steps give us that sense of achievement that yes, I've achieved this win. And remember that small wins are still wins, and small wins make up the big wins.
Yes, a series of small wins actually form
Mm.
the big one. I think just like how people build house, it's not one day the roof is there, it's from the foundation.
Yeah.
Uh, I just recall I have seen one client, right? She was so worried and so stressed about her credit score to
Mm.
the extent that she think about her credit or debt, right? She would feel very like a bit, her hands were like tremble a bit, that kind of stress.
Mm.
So eventually, I forgot what was the conversation about, but she agreed to go and download a new credit report after
Wow.
our chat. So from the report, right, she finally saw that, my credit score I thought is very bad, but it's actually quite good. So that
Oh.
moment was like a suddenly aha, she said, what what have I been doing worrying myself for nothing?
Yeah. And right, I read somewhere they say that 99% of our worries, right, eventually do not come true.
That shows how imaginative and creative we can be
Yes.
also.
Yes. Yeah.
think I think the truth is we cannot predict everything in life. So when we worried about something going wrong or whatever it is, right? A lot of
Mm.
assumptions have to fall in place for that
Mm.
scenario to happen. But
Mhm.
we cannot control all these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. So let's say I am a good friend to my friend or my family member. I feel like they are struggling or having some problem brewing, right? How
Mm.
can I lend some emotional support without, making them feel bad, feel worse?
Mm. So the key here is empathy, empathetic listening. Okay. So empathy means that you are putting yourself in their shoes. Okay. It means I feel with you and I want to go through this with you and I want to hold your hand and let's do this together. So this consists of non-judgmental um, uh, listening, focused on offering words like, I can't imagine how tough this must be for you, but I'm here for you. Rather than just very common words like, it's going to be okay, right? Actually, a lot of us, when we are trying to comfort our friend, we will always say like, yeah, it's just going to be okay. It'll be better soon. We always come from good intentions, right? No doubt. But sometimes it might seem a bit dismissive, like they are like we are downplaying their concerns like that when we say these kinds
Yeah,
of it's like, oh, at least you still have this, or, I will be better tomorrow. Although we come from a good place, but the person receiving it might feel like the problem is actually very valid, they don't they might feel like we are invalidating their experience. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, if I'm going through something, right, that concern me that much, for someone to listen for 5 minutes and tell me they can understand what it is and that it's going to be okay, I think I would discount the weight of that sentence a lot. Yeah, and
Exactly.
yeah, uh, but I understand that sometimes we want to say this not not because we want to pretend that we understand the challenge or that we trust that it will be okay, but it's more like we want to make the person feel better. But more often than not, I think the actually that person does not feel better, but it could actually feel more stress.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, it's important for us to create space where they feel heard, they feel understood without offering like these quick fixes.
Yeah. What if, right, instead of saying it's going to be okay, you will do well, it's all right, instead of saying this, we put it in a different direction and we ask, I understand what you are sharing or what you are going through. What is the thing that you think you can do to help yourself, or what do you want to achieve from here? Would this actually be more helpful than just saying I understand or it's going to be okay?
Yeah, I think the fact that you are prompting some questions where they might be able to take action. I think that's helpful. Also, we can also say like, oh, if you want someone to talk to, you can talk to me, you can come to me, or let's find a day where we can figure this out together. Let me help you. I'm here for you. I think these are all part of empathetic listening.
So, if let's say I listen to a friend or someone sharing, right? Or would it be important for me to a little bit able to aware of, let's say, oh, their problem is not small problem. It might actually maybe turn into something more serious like depression or anxiety. Is there any health signs about this that I can be more aware of?
Okay, so there are definitely like signs where you can look out for. For example, if that person, let's say a person you're talking to, your friend lah, for example, is persistently feeling very down, very sad. They feel like there is just no way out or that things will improve. So that sense of hopelessness that they feel. Another sign would be they're constantly just worrying, or they might have panic attacks, intense anxiety about money, even when there's no immediate financial issue. Yeah. Another big one would be loss of interest in activities or even in relationships. So they would withdraw or isolate themselves from social activities, feeling disconnected, difficulty focusing, difficulty making decisions, affecting their daily tasks, affecting work, affecting relationships. And of course, physical symptoms like sleep issues, eating a lot more, eating a lot less than normal, and feeling a lot of fatigue. Yeah, so if someone is experiencing these symptoms, it may indicate that financial stress is leading to more severe mental health issues.
And this is also the time that maybe normal friends or family can no longer offer the right support to the person. And maybe the better next step is to seek out professional help from people like you, Jim. So how can we, because sometimes to suggest people to see a psychologist or counselor can also be taken in a bad direction by the recipient of the advice. Is there any ways that we can skillfully suggest the person actually seek professional help?
Especially in our culture, mental health can still be like a stigma, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we can do is to remember that we can't force someone to seek help, but we can encourage, especially when it's interfering with their daily life. Yeah. And remind them that seeking help does not mean that they are weak or incapable. Because a lot of us think that, you must be crazy to seek a psychologist. You must be really weak to seek a psychologist. But no, you don't have to have a very, very severe issue to talk to a psychologist, right? You can talk about relationship issues or financial issues or just things like that. Day-to-day challenges can be helpful. So remind them that if you seek therapy, you are taking proactive steps to care for their mental health, which shows strength and courage.
Actually, to ask for help is a sign of courage and strength. It's unfortunate that the society and the culture here is that people have the perception if I'm going to talk to a psychologist or counselor, it means something is not right in my mental space or head. I think it's not really that like that. So I think this is where you guys, the work that you guys are doing now is also trying to normalize conversations on mental health. And the card games, I suppose, is a very good way of getting people to pay more attention and to be more engaged and invested in terms of their focus and energy, right? So I also understand you guys also work with children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like you mentioned on our card games, so a lot of the questions that we have in our cards um, they're very, very insightful, because the feedback that we've gotten, right, is that, they've actually never thought of asking themselves these questions. When they do, they realize a lot of things about themselves that they've never thought about before. So they gain a lot of self-awareness, a lot of insight about their thoughts, their feelings. So, if you guys want to know more, if you want to know more about the cards, just let me know.
Is that like, can we like go to your social media and find out more?
Yes, we our Instagram. We have an Instagram. It's called we rather be.
Okay. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll put your Instagram the URL into the show notes. So if listeners you want to find out more, right, just click from there. And I think you guys also have a YouTube channel that you
Yes.
share updates about. I saw recent one you guys go for trip to I think end of last year. And other than the nice scenes of the different country, right? I think you went to Korea. The captions and all the narration are actually very insightful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being so supportive.
So I can see you guys are doing a lot of different, approaches that actually help people to absorb knowledge about building better mental health and also more resilient.
Yeah.
People need to know more.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So because mental health is such a big part of our lives.
It's about how we function, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, okay. So thank you for the sharing, Jean. It's been a very insightful conversation, and there's a lot of golden nuggets you shared with us also. I would just like to ask a few more, right? If there's there is one major mindset shift or point that you hope or you would like listeners to take away from this episode, what would it be?
I think it's important to recognize that financial struggles are not a reflection of personal failure. Yeah. Instead of seeing financial difficulties as something that defines worth or success, it's very important to view them as a challenge that can be navigated with the right mindset, with the right support and coping strategies. Yeah. So changing the narrative from I'm not good enough to I'm going through a tough time right now, but I can take small steps to improve my situation. Yeah. That will empower individuals to move forward without shame. Yeah. And financial resilience isn't about being perfect. It's about being adaptable. It's about being resourceful and definitely compassionate with yourself during time.
Oh, true. Uh, from my side, I'm just trying to add on one thing is that seeking support from mental health specialists does not mean that someone is going crazy. Actually, it's essential for us to continue to care for ourselves. So if you have been listening to this and you have high financial stress or worries about different areas of your life, don't try to limit it to yourself. Sometimes we feel we are alone is because we limit it to just within ourselves. And no wonder you can feel alone. So the truth is, if you allow yourself to get help, you give yourself the permission to seek help, you will find that there's a lot of help available and it will be very helpful for us. Yeah. So one last question, Jean, is there any books or podcasts or article or whatever resources that you would suggest us to read on or follow for more tips on building better mental resilience?
Okay. So my favorite author she's called Brene Brown. Um, Her book on Dare to Lead is very insightful. It focuses on building resilience, being vulnerable, and building emotional courage. These skills are very essential when facing financial challenges. So I encourage you guys to look up Brene Brown.
Okay, so Dare to Lead from Brené Brown. I will put it in the show note also. I think there's also a think it's a documentary. If you have Netflix, you will find that. Also, there's one episode from Brené Brown. It's also
Yes.
very, very truthful, very honest sharing. Have you
Yes.
watched that?
I watched clips of it.
So if you don't like read book, you can watch that. If you don't like to watch, you can listen. I think she has a podcast as well. So there's a lot of resources. Yeah. But thank you very much, Jean, for sharing all these things, plus also the recommendation for the books for us to read on. Yeah. So I hope to see you again. I think we will do another episode covering you guys starting Be Rather Be and more story about why you do that and what kind of challenges, how a psychologist support themselves to overcome all the different challenges of starting a business and doing well. Okay. So thank you very much again.
Thank you so much for having me and for all the important questions. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.